If there was someone that you hated, and you were to destroy an image of them whilst imagining them in a state of suffering, and allowing intense emotion to drive your willpower, could you physically affect reality? Jade Goody was a UK reality TV star, best known for taking part in the show Big Brother in 2002. This reality game show features a number of people inside a camera-filled house, which records and broadcasts their day-to-day living. Contestants would nominate each other to be kicked out of the house, and the final decision would be subject to public voting. The remaining contestant would be crowned the winner and receive a £70,000 cash prize. Jade Goody's antics and personality made her a popular contestant on the show. She soon became a household name in the UK. Although she didn't quite manage to win the show, coming in at 4th place on the final eviction day, Jade would, however, garner more fame in the years to follow. She was invited to return to the show in 2007 to take part in the celebrity edition of Big Brother. This version of the show would see her share the house with a number of other celebrities, one of which was Indian actress Shilpa Shetty. There was much controversy over her interactions with Shilpa. Jade, along with 2 other contestants, was accused of being a bully and a racist, and the show was met with huge backlash by the UK media. Jade was eventually evicted from the celebrity Big Brother house on day 17 of the show. Shilpa went on to be crowned the winner. At the time, it was well known that Jade's behaviour on this edition of the show had caused a lot of complaints, but what wasn't so well documented is the extent of the outrage felt by the people of India. Angry protesters carried out demonstrations in the streets and were photographed holding up picket signs in support of Shilpa. Noticing the upset that she had caused, Jade made a public apology. She said she was sorry for any hurt caused to Shilpa and her family, but despite this, the hate continued. The demonstrations by the protesters saw them chanting and burning handwritten signs and effigies of the show's producers. In 2008, Jade decided to travel to India and take part in the Indian version of the show called Big Boss. It was during a live broadcast of this show that Jade was to receive some terrible news. Jade was called into the diary room of the house, where she took a phone call from her doctor, telling her that she had been diagnosed with cervical cancer. The distressing footage of Jade receiving this news and bursting into tears was beamed to millions. Following her appearance on Big Boss, Jade's health began to deteriorate rapidly. She allowed the progression of her illness to be documented by the media, with cameras capturing the day-by-day decline of her health. Jade's deterioration was laid out clearly for all to see. Images of her suffering were constantly being plastered onto the front pages of newspapers, often with harrowing headlines like, "Get me out of this pain" and "I want to die at home." Still, the cameras continued to roll until she passed away in 2009 at the age of 27. I was well aware of things like voodoo rituals where dolls would be stuck with pins or burned, but at that time I hadn't come across any modern day occurrences of this. Since then, I've often wondered whether the burning of effigies, along with the combined hate of so many people, contributed in some way to Jade Goody's early death. After an unhealthy breakup, I decided to clear out old painful memories. I threw out old clothing and other belongings related to that chapter of my life. A friend of mine was having a bonfire one Thursday night and suggested that I bring some of my old stuff to add to it. I thought it was a good idea and packed up some of the stuff. I knew for a fact that at least 2 photos of my ex were amongst the contents of the 2 big bin bags that I had brought with me. My friend drove me to his, and on the journey I made the mistake of checking Facebook. The People You May Know feature of Facebook brought up a picture of my ex's profile. The picture was of her and her new boyfriend. Whilst I said nothing regarding this to my friend, the sight of the profile picture triggered a strong surge of emotion within me. It hadn't been long since we broke up, and I was certain that I recognized her new boyfriend. I was still in a highly emotional state at the time the items were burning on the fire. I was convinced that she was cheating on me during the course of our relationship. I stared intensely at the flickering flames and couldn't help but feel a wave of anger running through me. I experienced a very vivid nightmare on the night of the fire. This became a recurring nightmare, where I would dream that I was lying in bed next to her. I would reach out in the darkness to touch her, but her body would feel cold, moist and stiff. In the dream, I would jump up frantically and grab my phone to use as a torch so that I could see what was wrong with her. Usually when I shone the light, I would just see her lying there and she'd look absolutely fine. But in one of the dreams, when I shone the light, her lifeless eyes looked back at me. Then I moved the torch slightly and saw the grotesque sight of her distorted face, with her jaw hanging off and her neck twisted and bent. Then I reeled back in terror and fumbled for my inhaler. About a little over a month since the bonfire, I was browsing the web on my phone and saw an article saying that a woman had been killed in a head-on car crash in an area that I knew well. I clicked through and, of course, the dead woman turned out to be my ex-girlfriend.